Okay, this DCS Retribution tutorial is for those who just want the quick and dirty and learn how to get in and do things. First things first, check my video description and get a link to the GitHub page. Click on latest. Go ahead and download the DCS Retribution 1.0. Once you download that zip file, unzip it. Okay, and inside you're going to find this folder. You don't have to install anything; it runs out of the folder itself. You need to set up a certain file first, and what you need to do is go to Resources. You go to Scripts, Mission Scripting.lua, and copy it over to your saved games, Open Beta Scripts. Drop that in there and overwrite it. Every time DCS does an update, it's most likely that you're going to have to do this. They provide an original Mission Scripting.lua file if you need it, if you need to revert for any reason. I never have. Okay, so we're going to jump back here. Scroll down till you find the executable for Retribution main. Click on that. It'll take a minute to open up, so just give it some time. Maybe I didn't double click it. We'll do it again. Boom, there it goes. It's opening up right now. Perfect. Once it loads up, you'll probably have a blank screen here because you don't have any missions previously. You can do File, and you go Preferences, set your save game directory and your installation directory, hit Apply. And then what you're going to want to do is you can either File New Game or this handy dandy button here, New Game, opens up your mission wizard. And hit Next, and you're going to pick a campaign. My PvE group has 5 campaigns in here. So we're going to pick this one. It has a little bit of information here. You can pick a time period that you want, or just leave it default for whatever the mission designer put in here. It's going to tell you what factions are going to be used automatically. You don't have to mess with this, but if you want to, you can pick a different faction. That will change the way that the mission designer intended the mission to be played, so just be careful with that. It will work. You just might have different aircraft selections, and the squadron page just comes later. Hit Next. This is an option screen for mod settings. So, for instance, if we had high digit SAM mod, you put that on. If you have the Sufa mod, which hopefully they'll be updating the 3.0 soon. The main thing you need to worry about here is if you want the super carrier, click that. Your desired mission duration, always put that down to 30 minutes. That'll make all the automated time on targets to an hour. That includes the enemy. So if you typically intend to fly for about an hour or under, you want this on 30 minutes. I know it's a little misleading there, but trust me on this. We've been doing this a long time. Put it to 30 minutes. Player income, this is set by the mission designer as well. If you don't want to mess with anything and you just want everything automated, everything purchased for you, and you don't want to do anything custom, check all these boxes. And if you want to make your life easier, give yourself a big starting budget. Go ahead, click finish. This is going to pull up the squadron screen. You can edit everything in here. This is set by the mission designer. If you choose a different faction, the faction is going to try to match these aircraft as best as possible. If it's unable, it'll fill with a close substitute. So, for instance, if you wanted to, add something like the Ka-50, maybe you haven't upgraded, so you can add squadron. Click on the Ka-50. You can pick which airfield you want it at. Hell, you can put it on the LHA. Hit accept. Let's say you want black neutral for the camo, and you're good to go on that one. Or actually, you'd have to click on Ka-50 down here, and you can pick whatever camo you want. You could also remove squadrons, and you can also change the mission types that the auto planner will set for it. For the most part, if you don't know what you're doing in here, don't bother. You can play with it another time. Hit accept, and it generates your campaign. For the map options, you may be zoomed into water, so make sure you scroll wheel out until you can see your mission area, and then you can zoom in, left click and drag the map to play around with that. You can play with all these filter options to filter out things on the map. So that's pretty quick and easy. We'll leave that as is. The other thing you want to do before you play the campaign is come in here and do the settings. If you want detailed information on this, go look at my detailed video. By default, most of this is pretty good for people. I prefer no man pads, would do day missions, neutral dot, fog of war. That's pretty good. I'm just running through this quick because I do have a detailed thing on this. I don't want the AI pilots to level up. I do want that squadron limits. We got the automation. Never assign player pilots. I prefer that, but you could also put prefer player pilots. And then you want all these checked. Fast forward to first contact. That means the mission, instead of starting at 1500, it's going to start at the first contact with the enemy, or whatever you put this as. So if you put it as startup time, uh, you're going to be able to cold start your aircraft and all that. Typically, I disable convoys, frontline troops prefer roads. I get rid of the infantry squads and old vehicles. Calling, I'll put that to 45. We run through here, splash damage, and we're good to go. Click out of that. Now you're ready to start your campaign. Since you have everything set up to be automated, you just hit begin campaign. It already purchased what it thought you needed. Now, your planner just made you a bunch of missions. All the time on targets are under an hour. So you got to pick something that you want to do if you're not going to plan this manually. So you look through here and you find something that you like to do. In this case, got some, let's say you're a Harrier pilot. So you double click on here and then you can make yourself the player. Now, you have to be the leader, you can't be one of the wingmen. And also, we all know that DCS AI kind of sucks. So you could just move this down to one aircraft and then you can do everything. You can change your payload in here, but you can also do it in game. This is primarily for the AI if you want the AI to have a different loadout. And it shows your waypoints. You can add waypoints, but it sometimes will break that timeline option. So I don't recommend editing this unless you are okay with starting at 1500 or whatever the start time may be. So there you go. Now you got yourself a player slot and you're ready to fly this. All this other stuff is done for you, so you don't even have to think about it. But let's say that you're not happy about that. Like I said, right now it's good to go. You hit takeoff and it'll load a mission, your missions. And what you do is you load up DCS, you go to the mission editor, you hit open, and right there will be a Retribution mission file, and it constantly overwrites that file. So every time you hit takeoff, it overwrites that file. So what we're going to do is just go through a quick thing of how you can plan your own. You can just click on the bottom and cancel all these out, and then add flight. Let's get that AWACS up. Cool, we got an AWACS. Let's see, did it buy another one? Nah. So we can put a refueler up. We can put some bar cap flights up. And once again, I'm going through this quick, and that's because I already have a detailed tutorial. So we got a couple bar cap flights, and let's say we want to start working on some of this stuff. If we click on FARP Alpha, it'll show us how many ground units that the enemy has, which is 39. So yeah, we probably do need some CAS. So I'm going to set myself up as an A-10 Thunderbolt. Hit player. I could type in my name, Oscar Juliet. And there we go. Now I'm set to do CAS right away. And we could have, some strike flights. I mean, you can get as detailed into this as you want to get. You could have one aircraft. You can do another strike flight. Let's say you got two aircraft, and then you want to have them an escort. You can do that as well. So there's a lot that you can do with this, and my detailed video does go over it. And the more you play with this, the more you'll be comfortable with it. And once again, you just hit takeoff when you're ready to go. It generates a mission. And so when you open up your mission editor, it's going to look something like this in DCS, and it'll have Retribution next turn. This is the mission file you're looking for, and you can verify by date and time. So every time you hit takeoff, it's going to go ahead and update this mission file. And once you're done, you'll play the game, you'll get in, do the mission. You don't have to land, you could be in the air. Whenever you escape and quit from that mission, Retribution is going to pull that information, and a new pop-up will be here showing that you had this many losses, the enemy had this many losses, and then you can accept and go to the next turn. So it's pretty straightforward. Just mess around with it, play with it a little bit, go over to my detailed video, and you'll see how things change. One thing you might notice is we didn't skip very far ahead, and that's because of this. We have it set to first contact, but we also have it to startup time. So if I wanted that timer to go later, I need to open the last save, which now we're back at the 1500 and the old setting. So it's always important to save your game before you hit takeoff. But we'll just grab one of these, make them a player slot, hit OK. And what we're going to do here is we'll hit ASAP to fix the starting time. But what I do when I make a player's flight, get rid of these, make it down just to one guy. If I want the mission to skip forward, I will personally type 5959, just a little code word to myself that I don't want my flight to trigger the first contact. So if we hit takeoff, we'll see how this goes. Should jump us a little further. Yeah, see 1518. So now, some of these aircraft, you can see that they're in the air already. They're not going to be on the taxiway. You got the enemy air that's up. So when you get into the mission, all this is going to be going on. So if you have any other questions or you think this is too quick, go watch the detailed video. It is timestamped, and hopefully you'll have a good time. Thanks for watching.